All right, so we're gonna try to get these to 4.5 or as close as possible. That deck's almost spot on. It's about 4 5/8. What's it look like if you drop it down one more? So right there's 4 and a 32nd. That would be closer. That's an 1/8, not even an 1/8 below 4.5. All right, what's that set to?
4 1/4.
So that deck's pretty close. All right, let's see what this one is. Back that one up. I'm gonna put a rock right there and we'll measure the blade. Let's see exactly where this one's at. So yeah, that's perfect right there. When you move the blade out, so we'll measure them all from the side. That's 4.5 right there. All right, you'll pull your deck where the opening's right there where that rock is. Huh?
You thought it through.
Yeah.
You have to. People poke holes.
All right, so right there's the rock. Let's pull this out. So that one is right at 4 1/4, a little bit below 1/4. What's it do if you raise it up one more notch? Like a 1/4 inch increment. What's that set on there?
4 1/2. That's 4 3/4.
Yeah, so that's a lot closer right there. That's like a 32nd below 4.5. And you can see the rocks right there. All right, I'll pull the X rod right there and measure it. So I've got this deck set, you can see 4.5 set right on the pin. Let's see what we get here. So we're sitting right at maybe 1/16 below 4.5. So they're all within a 1/16 or an 1/8 of blade height, and you're never going to get them where they're identical. It's just, that's as close as we can get on the deck selector. So we're going to take them back here and cut some of this grass and see how they do. So this is the Gravely Pro Turn Mach 1. This is the one that has the real wild looking deck. As you can see how it gets narrow, and it's even narrower in the back. Look at the discharge on that thing. That is insane. I mean, it's really high and it's kicking it out far. This is the Pro Stance, the new stand-on. See how much shorter the discharge is on those? Hey! discharge stops about right there, don't it? You good to go?
You got it.
So this is the Mach 1. All the blades are set identical. Like I said, we measured them. You can see we did 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason we do that is because the fourth pass is where your discharge lands. But if you look here on this cut, I'm going to show both directions, is super, super clean. And this grass right here, I've been saving it for 2 weeks. You can see the seed heads and everything on there. Look how dense those seed heads are on that. Now, the higher you cut, the harder those are to pick up. But this shaved that so clean, even though there's a lot of discharge on the third and the fourth, you know, it's glazed down through there. The actual cut is super, super clean. Like I said, if you watch that slow-mo again, that cut and that discharge is insane how far that thing's discharging. And it rainbows it. I mean, it was rainbowing over my head with ease. But look down through there. I mean, it is so clean. And I'm going to show you on these other two decks. They're totally different. You can see that the discharge, and you're going to have more discharge on it the cleaner it cuts because it's picking up more grass. But if we go over here, like on this, like I said, they're all cut at 4.5. This one didn't pick up hardly any of the seed heads. You can see a ton of the seed heads, and we don't know if it was kind of bouncing a little bit, but the cut is nowhere near as clean on this as it is the Mach 1. Now, you don't have a lot of discharge on it, but it also didn't pick it up. We will try to cut down lower and see how they do with these, because that is crazy how good that other one clipped that. It's just really, really smooth. And I'm going to try to get in video. Now, the Hustler's a lot of the same way, cutting it left seed heads. You can see the seed heads there. And we're cutting at 4.5, like I said, but all of them are doing that. And you can see that some of these still have the seed heads on them. It didn't pick them up as smooth across the board for these two normal decks, where that Mach 1, it just shaved it absolutely smooth. And the discharge was, I mean, it's spitting out chunks that are longer bladed for sure, but I think this thing is going to be crazy for cutting like tall, dense grass, just like it's made for. And some of them, you know, there's still some seed heads on it, but it's nowhere near as, you know, prevalent as the Gravely deck and the Hustler deck is. And I'll go the other way and show you guys. So you can see here, you can see there's some clumps, but like I said, the cut ain't near as smooth on this one as it is that other deck over there. And this here, still same way. You're not getting as smooth of a cut on that at that height with it as you are with that Mach 1. That's crazy. What we're gonna do is we're gonna cross cut this time just to see if the decks, we've dropped them down 2 notches on each one, and I'm gonna have them run down each of these paths 4 times, same way we did before. The discharge on that's crazy good. It does spit big chunks out, but the discharge, I mean, look at this. It's all the way, I mean, I'm 15 foot from it, and it's discharging it all the way over there. You can see how far it's shooting. And it seems like it's pretty clean. I know there's a lot sitting over there. Yeah, it's cutting a lot cleaner like that. But you can see on these, the way the deck's set up, the discharge is a lot flatter. It doesn't shoot it up in the air like the other deck on that Gravely does, that Mach 1. So here is your Hustler X-Ride. We dropped each deck down 2 notches. They were at 4.5, so it got them closer to 4 inches on each deck. That way we'd get a real dents cut in between where we had already cut, and we're cutting our other stuff too. So you can see here, it definitely made those two cut cleaner than what they were. But you can still see seed heads in here and some of that. See, like that right there. And your discharge is pretty smooth across these two. And then here is your Gravely. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. Your discharge going this way. You can see the thick spots where they're at. You do have some clumping in this front part and the secondary part, but overall, it's pretty much a close cut on those two. And I'll show you again. I'll go the other way. I'll show you on this one. The Mach 1 tends to, from what I'm seeing, it seems like it cuts smoother. Something about how that deck works, like you can just see how smooth that cut is. Now, it does seem like you get longer clippings out of the deck because it's probably vacuuming it so fast that it doesn't mulch it near as much. You can see the overlay here, but the cut, how clean it is really, really good. These two are running. Are you running the factory blade on this? So this is factory blade. All these factory blades, they're just standard. So all these just have the factory blade on. We didn't switch any blades today whatsoever. I'll go the other way and show you on each of them in the dents part. So you can see here, if you look at the Mach 1, you can see it does kick out a bunch, but the cut is really, really clean. And then here is the Factor 3 deck. You can see here you've got some of the glazing, but it seems like the clippings aren't as long, some clumps. And then you've got the X right here. There is some light glazing across here. It's not as thick and dense as the one over there, but the seed heads, some of the seed heads it missed, a little bit cleaner. And then, like I said, the Mach 1 had the smoothest cut as far as getting every piece of grass like manicured slick down. It seems like it cut so smooth. I mean, really, really impressed. I think if you cut dense yards, you'd have to double cut because it kicks out the clipping so thick, but it cuts it so smooth. Like if you was cutting weekly with that thing, you'd probably have a really slick looking crosshatch pattern. We're gonna stick them in here. You can see where my lateral lines go down. There's really thick, then it gets thick again out there, and we're gonna stick all three of these going through this thick stuff and see how they perform. I'm super excited to see how this deck does because it's been chewing up everything so well. You can just see how it processes that, and I mean it's shooting it out way much. This is the Factor 3 deck. We've left them at 4 inches just to see how they do in this really thick stuff. So here's the X-Ride. There's one stem that's sticking up that it didn't get. And you can see there's just a couple on this one that it didn't pick up. You can see the discharge on there. Now, I did shoot my discharge on his. We just didn't have enough room to do it. So don't pay attention to the discharge because this had really, really clean cut. And there wasn't anything sticking up on it. So it picked up. Like I said, something about that deck is able to pick up things. It seems like it suctions really, really well and kicks it out. This one, you can see a few of the stems and stuff sticking up on the cut. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, but you can just see there's stems on some of it. But overall, all of them could cut this down and chop it up. This is extremely thick field grass, and like I said, my lateral lines go through here. But overall, like I said, I think that picks up the grass really, really well as far as how it suctions and cuts it smooth.